Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're standing at historic crossroads. Politically, North and South Korea have agreed on unification. However, the international community is already pouring out competing plans for Korea's future, driven by their own interests. We hope today's discussion helps Korea make a better decision. Now, let's meet our panel of experts. They have very different views, but they all agree that we must have this conversation. My name is Salim Ali. I will be serving as your facilitator today, and I'm also joining the panel as a researcher specializing in mineral geopolitics and resource conflicts.
I'm Bjorn Lomberg. I've been working in a highly esteemed global think tank over the last decade, about 10, 12 years. I am professional at anything that is investment worthy.
I am Uni, representing the United Nations Research Institute for Social Development.
Hi, I'm Ellen, and my focus has been on circular economy models.
Hi, I'm Kate Rewers, economist and author of Donut Economics.
Our first topic is economic growth versus social and ecological justice. Some argue that we should immediately apply South Korea's rapid growth model to the North. Others worry that the North will be exploited without strong protections. Please share your thoughts first.
From the UNRISD perspective, climate change and environmental degradation are not distant, abstract ethical issues. They are immediate crises of inequality. If this unification triggers a rapid, unchecked industrial expansion into the north without strict social environmental safeguards, we risk severe eco-destruction. The northern agricultural land, vital rivers, and public health could suffer long-term damage.
I agree with your notation. Indeed, environmental protection does matter. It brings a lot of preventable costs and unseen gains. If projected further into the next few decades, I would endorse your approach. However, I'm a pragmatist who believes in the costs of now and how to reduce it. Social and infrastructural focus is important, but a weak economy cannot fund those adaptations in the first place. Look at South Korea's infrastructural development in the 1960s. They were able to bring this much development to this much social system of secure welfare, healthcare, education, and more because they took effort to invest in mass industrialization and economic development in the first place.
But Mr. Lomberg, that is exactly the dangerous developmental trap that we warn against. Relying on GDP as the primary indicator of progress completely masks structural violence and human suffering. Yes, South Korea achieved an economic miracle, but look at the systemic cost today. We're dealing with hyper-competition, housing pressures, and the highest suicide rate in the OECD. If we copy and paste that exact same aggressive growth-first model onto the north, we're just exporting structural inequality and labor exploitation. We cannot afford to say growth first, justice later. We must embed an eco-social contract into the very first step.
Being brutally honest, I argue you say this only because your capable nation had an economic development and trade succeeded first before anything else. Without economic growth, there would be fewer opportunities to fight against external sources that influence the economy and nation as a whole, like dictators, for example. Look at the Caribbean, where infrastructure is really low, that their monopolizing food companies can run free on unfair trade and worker exploitation, with the citizens unable to fight back in any means that is reductible.
Whether growth comes first or justice comes first, at some point they have to meet, and that's exactly what the donut is about. It's not picking one over the other, it's finding the space where both conditions are met. Everyone above the social foundation, no one beyond the ecological ceiling. Korea's industrialization raised GDP, yes. It also pushed it past ecological limits and left a lot of people behind. A unified Korea doesn't have to repeat that. The donut gives you a framework to actually measure whether you're getting the balance right.
Thank you both for these sharp insights. I agree with Uni that justice and fair trade are vital as starting point for long-term sustainability. At the same time, Ramberg is right that focusing only on ideal standards might freeze the economic growth needed to fund that justice in the first place. Our second topic is the direction of our economic system. Should we adjust and optimize our existing system, or should we completely reprogram this structure for future generations?
I want to redesign the system around new criteria: fair trade, responsible production, low emissions. These things can't just be added on top later. They need to be part of the structure. What I'm really asking for is a new balance between loss and gain, not just maximizing output, but actually thinking about who benefits and who absorbs the costs.
While I don't have an affinity with a completely new system that you mentioned, other than the classic capital that I am used to, I think about the new Korean peninsula and I think about the loss and gain in this moment. That is the most realistic and measurable index we can use.
Objection. Faulty renewals are unsafe and uncreative. Not enough case examples in the real world that this can work on whole new infrastructure. Switzerland, for example, needed a lot of governmental infrastructure completely revamped to make the donut economy possible, and that cost them a lot. It might be better to use the existing system of production and disposal and add sustainability inside them. Smart grid, cleaner steel production, public transport, and carbon efficient factories are more realistic than rebuilding society from zero.
Do you understand how unfair that logic is to the people who are already getting left behind? Technology alone cannot solve inequality. Innovation almost always benefits the corporations that the patents before it reaches the workers affected by the transition. And no matter how much sustainability we layer onto the existing production cycle, where does the waste go? Who's forced to use new technology because of policy without any say in it? Relying on old systems that already concentrate power in certain entities is not a long-term solution.
I agree with Ms. Lower. We must look beyond what just humans have. The real question here is whether the unified peninsula can achieve absolute decoupling, growing human well-being while structurally reducing environmental destruction. If we just layer smart grids over an old, extractive economic model as Ms. Allen suggested, the financial benefits will be monopolized by massive corporations while the displaced workers are left behind. This requires a complete eco-social reprogramming. We need to invest early into renewable infrastructure and localize green systems that fit the citizens positively.
While UNRISD has a bird's eye on the case of global decoupling and therefore more confident, I have seen individual case examples where it is often unfair. Countries talk about decoupling after already becoming economically sufficient to support it, which means developing nations can't actively declare themselves to be pursuing decoupling without the immediate consequences. I fear the new Korean peninsula may not have the luxury to slow down heavy industry during early development, even if we aim for decoupling to the far future.
Circular economy offers a middle path. We don't need to destroy the old system entirely, nor ignore sustainability. By redesigning production cycles to reuse materials and minimize waste, we can modernize existing industries while still moving toward long-term justice. It's realistic, but also transformative.
As Ms. K pointed out, we urgently need a supply system that prevents corporate monopolies and benefits everyone. But to achieve this quickly, we must use our existing infrastructure efficiently. Implementing a circular economy framework within our current system first is the most realistic path forward. Our final topic is mineral geopolitics. The North holds massive resource potential with high-value minerals, giving a unified Korea incredible leverage for wealth and global influence. Foreign investment is never politically neutral. Every source of funding comes with strategic interests that could strengthen our sovereignty.
From a sovereign eco-social perspective, these mineral resources in the north must be treated as a collective public good, not just commoditized for international bidding. If we look at the history of resource-rich nations, opening up to rapidly foreign transnational capital often leads to the resource curse. Multinational corporations extract the wealth and leave behind toxic landscapes, while local populations remain impoverished. To protect national sovereignty, the state must lead a community-centered strategy. This mineral wealth should be strategically managed and directly reinvested into national social protection floors and localized green transition funds.
We can't just start selling immediately either. To fit within the donut balance, we need clear metrics and a real understanding of how much we actually have and whether extraction stays within ecological limits. We don't have that right now. For the moment, it makes more sense to hold on to those resources and focus on internal national development rather than rushing into external market. Going in without that, the foundation is how you end up in dependency relationship where the resources live and damage stays.
If we integrate our mineral resources into a circular economy framework, we can build industries that recycle and reuse these materials domestically. We reuse dependency on volatile global markets and create long-term stability. Exporting some resources may be necessary, but building internal value chains ensures sovereignty and resilience.
Cost beneficially, our materials present a high demand in the international market as we speak right now. We have a lot of natural resources that has been unmined and untampered with, and that is really rare to see in the global economy, and that sells high. While I don't completely disagree with their value in long-term development and social use, I believe selling smartly, cut doses to the global market can jumpstart the new country's economy than not. Not just profit, but inviting global corporations to get this share can actually increase capital, logistics, technology, and access to the global market and even politics faster than any other state can just by focusing on internal development.
I hate to admit it, but from a purely pragmatic geopolitical standpoint, yes, that global market leverage is highly tempting. However, we cannot ignore the hidden socio-ecological costs. Who actually pays the price for fast-track mining to satisfy global corporations? It's the local ecosystems and the health of the workers on the ground. If we sell out our raw materials for quick capital to jumpstart the economy, as Mr. Romberg suggests, we risk locking the unified peninsula into a greenwashed version of economic dependency. We must strictly balance short-term market opportunities against long-term internal socio-ecological sustainability.
Regardless of our different values, the geopolitical leverage we can gain by supplying resources to the global market is definitely a powerful weapon. It will guarantee us strong political influence. Ultimately, everything depends on how coldly we weigh the long-term costs and benefits of extracting these minerals. Well, that is all we have for today. Through these intense arguments, we have seen the essential puzzle pieces needed to complete a unified Korea. There is no single right answer, but we hope today's discussion helps you make a confident decision for your vote. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.